J-Knight, Batrep.
So welcome back to this Dark Potential Battle Report. It is now time for the Reclaimers turn 4. Let's see if we can come back. So once again, I begin like every turn by replenishing the command points. And hopefully these command points will actually help me this turn, unlike last turn where it didn't do much. So, as I've done many turns, I begin by starting with my forward observers, so hopefully they can mark a squad and then help me with shooting. I started to mark the one guy who's holding the 2-point objective, so I need 5s or less to hit him, and I do hit him, so it's +2 to hit for any other squad that decides to shoot at that one warrior holding the objective. I really want to get that objective out of his hands because it's worth 2 points, and then I can maybe run for stuff and grab some points in the meantime. So then the initiate squad moves up to shoot that one warrior with the objective, and it's -1 to morale if I do hit him. I'm probably going to try to kill him. I need 7s or less to hit, and I roll a 3, so I get tons of hits off, and then I decide to use a command point to drop it down to 2, so in the end I get about 4 hits, and those 4 hits I easily kill that one guy, despite the fact that he had cover. So then the second initiate decides to jump up on top of the building just to protect himself for one more turn against the stealthed out assassin. I move up my second forward observer. Sorry, I move my commander first. And he decides to overwatch. So that way, if anybody tries to go for that other objective, I will overwatch and kill them. I can't shoot anything else, so now it's time for Xylanthos, turn 4. Once again, his falling back guy decides to try to regroup, and luckily rallies this time, because now he's within the distance of the commander, so he gets to roll a 10 as opposed to the normal 6, and he replenishes the command points on the other guys. So the commander moves up, once again trying to get a good shot off on other squads. I called my overwatch, so hopefully take a few wounds off him. I need 7s to hit. And I do hit by rolling a 5. I need 3s or less to wound, roll a 4. So I'm going to take a command point off, once again to bring it down to 3. And it does a wound to him. I get to do D3 wounds. It started out by 1, so I took another command point off to reroll that 1. And I luckily rolled a 5, which means 3 wounds are coming off the commander of the Xylanthos, and he only has 2 wounds left. So he's very vulnerable next turn. So it's a good overwatch. He then decides to fire back at the commander and forward observer. Gets a direct hit. And he's a 3 to wound. And uses a command point to reduce that 4 to a 3, thus being able to do a wound to my commander. Luckily though, my commander still has 3 wounds left on him, so he's pretty hardy. However, that explosion also does a morale check, and I need to do one, and I pass with an 8. I needed a 9. His warrior then decides to move over there and towards the objective and rolls for what type, and rolls a 2, so that objective isn't actually worth anything and it's taken away from play. And his assassin is slightly out of reach of that other objective, so he just takes a moment to think about what he should do, because since he's out of reach of that other objective, and since I'm probably going to shoot him up if he stays there, he's decides actually to stay where he is, and if need be, run off the board next turn to score an easy 4 points for the Xylanthos. So as I said, he just runs up and hugs a wall for a little extra cover and gets closer to the objective in case he wants to go for it in the end. He then runs his stealth bases that represent the other Xylanthos assassin towards another objective, just to guard them a little bit away from my guys in case I decide to this turn, which he knows I need to do, is jump down and go for them. And he stops his movement and he rolls towards another objective, and he rolls another 2, removing the objectives near me because now that one's worthless as well. So let's see if I can come back. Reclaimers turn 5. So this turn I need to get some objectives, so I start off by doing a passive perception check with my forward observer, seeing if I can figure out which one the assassin is. I do hit it, but I chose the wrong one. I chose the middle one, and as you can see, it is not, because it's represented by an orange dot beneath it. He then decides to mark the leader of the one squad, and he uses a command point, thus to bring it down the right number, and the commander is now marked. I then do another passive perception check, and I pass. And I choose the closest one, but it's not that one either. So he's still technically in stealth, but I know which base it is. So then those guys decide to shoot as well. And they shoot at the commander of the Zlanthos. Only has 2 wounds left. I need 7 to hit. I'm sorry, 9s to hit, and I hit with 7. And I roll 2 dice, 3 or less, which kills his leader. So now it is big chance. So now he has to roll. Technically, you should have rolled a morale check for the other guy. I believe he did off camera, and he did pass. So I decided to run down with my leader to hopefully go grab that other objective. He did fall. Oh, sorry, he did not fall, so he didn't take any fall damage. He just moved down and then took a shot at that last member of the warrior squad. Needs 9s to hit. Hits easy with a 3. He needs a 4 to wound, 4 or less, and I roll a 1. So he's wounded and he's killed. And I do D3 wounds, of course, which doesn't matter anyway since he only has 1 wound. So right now the score is still 2-0. So I decide to run my last initiate towards the objective. Maybe it'll be worth 2 and it'll be a tie game, or maybe I can get some more objectives. First we see if he takes fall damage, which he doesn't. He needs a 1 to wound him. And then we see what type of objective it is, and first one falls off the table, and the second one is a 1, so once again it explodes, and there are no objectives near me to claim. What bad luck the reclaimers have had. So, basically at this point, I know I cannot win, but we just see if an explosion kills the initiate, and it doesn't. So, it's a good game, ends with a hearty handshake. As you can see, basically, he can run off the table next turn and score 4 points, and there are no objectives near me other than the one in front of the commander, and the most that one can be worth is 2. So at this point, I pretty much have nowhere to go, and that's game. As you can see, a lot of the bodies were killed. There were very few models left on the table, especially on the Zlanthos end, which just had the 2 assassins. And yeah, but in the end, it's not how many people you have left, it's how many objectives you can score. So, it is a Zlanthos victory.